What if I told you that America's education system isn't broken? It's doing exactly what it was built to do. And that design, it's rigged. I'm Lloyd Lindley Jr. I am a PhD candidate here at TWU. And today I want to talk to you about how the education system is rigged. But let's start with something very simple. By show of hands, how many people in here chose the zip code they were born into? I didn't think so. Yet that one random detail, your zip code, can shape the entire trajectory of your education. Not your drive, not your dreams, just geography. So we like to think of education as the great equalizer, but in America, it's more like the great divider. It's shaped by housing policy, tax structures, and centuries of inequality. The Congressional Black Caucus Foundation found that local property taxes, not student need, drive public school funding, which means the zip code you're born into often decides whether your school thrives or struggles. And it doesn't stop there at education. This map shows by zip code, it predicts how long you're going to live. Think about that. Dr. Jessica Owens at American University calls this the zip code effect, where life expectancy itself is mapped by geography and inequality. In other words, opportunity isn't random, it's rigged. But let me show you how the system was built and how we can dismantle it. Now I know some of you might say, well, didn't we take care of that back in the 50s, 1954 to be exact? The Brown versus Board of Education, right? So that was a landmark case. It did end legal segregation, but it didn't mean equality. The legal walls came down, but the economic structural barriers, they stayed up. We outlawed separate schools, but we never built a system where school had equal access to resources. Today, too many schools serving students of color are underfunded, understaffed, and overcrowded. Brown versus Board of Education was the beginning, but if we're going to be honest, the work of equity was never finished. In fact, segregation in schools has actually got 64% worse, according to a study by Stanford and USC from the 1980s. So we celebrated this landmark case, we celebrated the symbolism, but we skipped the structural change. So in America, we tell our children, dream big, work hard, and you'll succeed. But success is only possible if everyone starts at the same place. Could you imagine a race where you're standing along someone and they have brand new cleats on and their surface is polyurethane? I said that right? Polyurethane. And then you're running barefoot in sand. Who's going to win that race? The first person, right? So it's not about merit, it's about access to having equitable resources. So these disparities aren't subtle, they're very visible and harsh. Black and Latino students are 4 times more likely to have inexperienced teachers, poor schools, and face chronic overcrowding, fewer resources, and fewer counselors. Jonathan Kazul highlighted these stark differences decades ago in a book called Savage Inequalities. This divide is not about student ability, it's a direct result of policy decisions. So how did we get here? Go back. So how did we get here? It started with redlining, deliberately dividing neighborhoods by race and perceived value. The segregation led to concentrated poverty in some areas and affluence in others. Then we decided to fund schools through local property taxes. This means wealthier neighborhoods get more money and poor communities get less. And now, states right here in Texas, we just passed a $1 billion voucher program, which, based upon the Texas Tribune, says that this is going to pull even more money out of public schools and the schools that need it the most. The numbers don't lie. Districts serving mostly white students get 23 billion more annually than those serving mostly students of color. Think about that, 23 billion more. Underfunded schools don't just struggle, they fail through no fault of their own. And when education fails, consequences ripple into incarceration, income, and as we saw earlier, health. This is systemic harm. Right now, our education system is cracking visibly. Teachers are burned out, literacy rates are dropping, and schools are closing. 70% of incarcerated adults in America read below a fourth grade level. That's not coincidence, that's a broken promise. COVID didn't break education. It revealed just how fragile and unfair it already was. This isn't some abstract idea. It's already working where we've tried it. So minor fixes won't solve a problem rooted so deeply in inequality. Real equity is giving each school what it needs, not just equal resources, but equitable resources. Equity-based funding upon need, graduation rates climb up to 30%. Cultural relevant curriculum engage students deeply, and community-driven leadership brings lasting change. When communities lead, outcomes improve. We know this works. It's already happening in places brave enough to try it. Justice isn't a dream, it's a design choice. We say education is every child's right, but rights mean nothing unless we fight for them. And that fight doesn't just belong in policy rooms or boardrooms. It begins right here, right now, with you and me. Vote for equity, mentor students, show up, speak out. Every action matters. I didn't choose my zip code, but I'm choosing to fight for every student still trapped in theirs. Thank you.